Welcome back to the Socialist Star YouTube channel, and as much as I hope to please your ears, to some, I can't. Which, it's weird that that person commented 3 different times about my looks and my voice, but then again, as my mother used to always say,
say something again, say one more thing. I will pimp slap you. Say it again.
Just kidding.
someone who tries to consistently insult you is just jealous or flattered by you. So, sorry that you will never have sex with me.
Wow.
And sorry that I have a YouTube channel and opinion. I would ad hominem you, but I really don't care. Humana. So today, what I want to get into is something that has not really been in the news much, and understandably so, because we had tariffs, and we didn't have tariffs. Then we brought back the tariffs, but at negotiated rates that weren't actually negotiated. They were just paused or delayed, and then the increase was added, but to a smaller degree, and then that increase and the previous increases, turns out no payment has been received on any of those tariffs, which, Jesus Christ. Not to mention there's no situation with the El Salvador prison and Abrigo Garcia being detained there. And might I add, because someone previously commented, that the decision by the judge in the Supreme Court did not say that the president needed to return him. It did. It quite literally did. And the Supreme Court, not wanting to basically destroy judicial authority, basically just said, hey, reword this but say the same thing. So she did. And now the Trump administration is about to have several members come before that judge to give statements about the situation, which I'm sure Trump will block, which dives us further into the Burger Reich. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff going on. A massive amount of stuff going on. But one of the things that I feel is not covered much is the destruction that is coming from the Trump administration in regards to FEMA. I think this needs to be discussed a lot more simply because of the factor of climate change is real. You can say it's not, you can claim it's not, fine, whatever. Disasters do happen.
Mommy!
That's real. You cannot deny that. Many of these disasters are often caused by nature. And because they are caused by nature, one of the things you don't want to do is weaken the strength of your federal response to those disasters. That is what the Trump administration is doing, because they have denied not only North Carolina, but also Georgia, extensions of aid for those in areas hit by Hurricane Helene, which is insane because Hurricane Helene, it wasn't years ago. It's not like they're asking for money and support 3 years down the road. That was only several months ago, like almost 6 months at this point, maybe 7, possibly, it was September. I've said this before in a previous video. We still only have one road connecting Western North Carolina as a highway system to Tennessee.
Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis, Tennessee.
Sure, there are other small roads here and there, possibly, that are opening up, but people don't usually take small roads when they're traveling between states. They usually take fucking highways. So let's get into how Trump told everyone in the West to go fuck yourself after they've overwhelmingly voted for him. So this article by Newsweek, Trump denies FEMA aid extension and state he won 3 times, which, you know, doesn't matter how many times the leftist says it to you. Red state voters, the voting Republican every single time is literally voting against yourself. Every single time. Every single time. Every single time. Democratic Governor Josh Stein announced Friday that the Federal Emergency Management Agency has denied North Carolina's request to extend the full reimbursement period for Hurricane Helene recovery efforts. In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, which struck in September 2024, then presidential candidate Donald Trump voiced sharp criticism of FEMA's response in the swing state of North Carolina, accusing the agency of being too slow to release recovery funds and failing to coordinate effectively with state officials. Trump repeatedly claimed that the federal bureaucracy was delaying critical aid, saying in one press briefing, "The people of North Carolina deserve faster, better action. FEMA needs to cut the red tape and get the job done." He also suggested that political bias might be influencing the pace of assistance, given Trump's staunch support in hard-hit areas of Western North Carolina, though FEMA denied the allegations. So essentially, if you remember the TikToks that were going around talking about, how the military was blocking FEMA aid or whatever, and you had these like random militia groups that were coming in from fucking God knows where, not just North Carolina, but literally all over the country, that were trying to act like law enforcement officers. Or like the TikTok where it was like, oh, the coast military or something had like a helicopter intentionally destroy an aid station with its backwash or underwash or whatever it's called. But in reality, it was they were told that that would be a landing area for them, and they went, and as soon as they arrived, it clearly wasn't. And yeah, they probably overstayed looking for a new landing area nearby so they could deliver things, but that doesn't mean they went there with the intent to cause the chaos. It just means they were a little slow in realizing there is no landing point.
Damn it, focus! I'm sorry. Okay, let's just try it again.
Trump secured North Carolina's 15 electoral votes in the past 3 presidential elections. Disappoints me every day. In 2016, he defeated Hillary Clinton with 49.83% of the vote to her 46.17, a margin of 3.66 percentage points. The 2020 election saw a tighter. What the fuck? That's what happens when you make a video in the morning and you're still sleepy. With Trump narrowly surpassing Joe Biden by 1.34 percentage points. In the 2024 election, Trump expanded his lead, securing 50.86% of the vote against Kamala Harris's 47.65, making his 3rd consecutive win in the state. A statement which literally haunts me. And I swear to God, if this man tries to run for a 3rd term, like he has possibly alluded he's going to try and do, which I know the legal system says that he cannot, but then again, he has stuck his middle finger up to the legal system a million times by this point, and he's only been president for 3 months. So there is a possibility. And I refuse to let North Carolina vote for this man for a 4th consecutive time.
I will beat you like a Cherokee drum.
Swaths of the southeast were devastated in late September by Hurricane Helene, which left 219 people dead and caused billions of dollars worth of damage. Helene was the deadliest hurricane to strike the mainland U.S. since...
What the hell was that all about?
I don't know what that was, don't judge me. Technically, I am human, although according to some people, because of what I am, that would make me more, I don't know, barbarian, savage, sinner, demon, something along those matters, in which case, what's up, Satan? Since Katrina in 2005, with Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia particularly badly hit. You're missing some commas. Helene caused widespread devastation across North Carolina, resulting in an estimated $8.4 billion in total damages. The storm brought torrential rainfall, historic flooding, and destructive winds that damaged thousands of homes, overwhelmed local infrastructure, and left large portions of the state without power. Recovery efforts remain ongoing months after Helene made landfall, with many communities still working to repair roads, rebuild housing, and restore public services. I'm gonna yawn again.
Hi, baby girl.
Good God, my face probably looks like I was coming.
Say what?
While FEMA and state agencies have deployed aid, delays in federal reimbursement have slowed progress. I wonder why there are delays in federal reimbursement. Could it be that we have a schizo politician? Could it be that nothing this administration does lasts longer than a week before they realize they've created too much of a fire that they then have to put out? Despite them putting out the fire, the damage was already done, and now it's just like irreparable because they don't do that when it comes to the Trump administration. Like they break things and then literally just say, oopsies.
Did I do that?
Guess we'll get a new one. And then you're like, yeah, I guess we're gonna have to. And then they say, your state's gonna have to pay for it. And you're just like, well, my state doesn't have that type of money. And they're just like, well, get fucked. North Carolina officials continue to call for extended financial support, particularly for rural areas. We're rebuilding. I don't know if that was dyslexia or just waking up. Where rebuilding efforts have been slow. Nonprofits and volunteer groups have played a crucial role in filling the gaps left by strained government resources, while local leaders emphasize the need for long-term investment in resilient infrastructure to better withstand future storms. It's almost like the things I said in my video about this exact situation, that we do not have the infrastructure to deal with storms of the magnitude of Helene. Hell, we don't even have infrastructure to deal with storms of lesser magnitude, really. If it's above category 2 and you're in an area that does not see rain normally, I just want you to know you're fucked. Last month, the Trump administration also turned down a request from Georgia Governor Brian Kemp for a second deadline extension to apply for relief from the state following Hurricane Helene, which is interesting considering, Brian is a Republican. So it does not matter. It doesn't matter at all where in the country you are. If you need the federal government, which you pay taxes into, to help you, they're going to tell you to go fuck yourself. Doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever the fuck Floridians think they are.
Welcome to Florida, America's droopy dick.
But you know who does get help from the federal government? A special species I like to call Elon Musk. He gets all the help. Stein posted on X, formerly Twitter. I hate the fact that all these news agencies are using this sort of format to avoid Elon basically throwing them off the platform. But I don't have to. I'm going to call it Twitter. Today, I learned that FEMA refused our request to extend its 100% reimbursement period for another 180 days. I got this news while I was in Newland with families who lost their homes in the storm. The need in western North Carolina remains immense. People need debris removed, homes rebuilt, and roads restored. I am extremely disappointed and urge the president to reconsider FEMA's bad decision, even for 90 days. 6 months later, the people of western North Carolina are working hard to get back on their feet. They need FEMA to help them get the job done. And one of the biggest threats and issues with this is the factor of, if there's no FEMA, when disaster strikes your state, and we know that insurance companies are dropping people left and right the moment they sense an area is a disaster zone, or as the disaster is literally unfolding, as the California wildfires showed us. But if they're dropping people left and right, and it's much harder to get home insurance just because of you having a higher chance at a tornado or a higher chance at a hurricane, you then have to rely upon your states. And I don't know if you guys ever really notice, especially in red states, like my own state, North Carolina, they tend to work with a very, 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 very large budget deficit. And who covers that very, 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 very large budget deficit? Federal government. And if the federal government is pulling support out of things and also getting rid of departments within itself that are supposed to support and assist in disaster or times of need, then that means you're fucked, because the state, again, works on a very, 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 very large budget deficit if you live in a red state. Unfortunately, I do. Mississippi, I'm really, really looking a lot at you. So with that deficit no longer covered, or no longer there being any support or assistance, whenever things like this pop up, people are just going to die. You're just going to sit in the dark and literally die. That's all it is. Once the media throws you out of their news cycle, you're done. That's literally it. Now, certain areas are going to fare better. California will probably remain on the news cycle if something happened there because it's California. New York will probably remain on the news cycle because it's New York. Big places like Boston or Charlotte or, Tallahassee or anywhere in any of the big cities in Texas, Dallas, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Houston. But if you're not in these big cities, the news is just not going to give a fuck. Arkansas, quite literally, was hit by tornadoes and torrential rainfall and flooding practically all across the Midwest like a week ago. And there's still large swaths which are flooded, but you don't know about it because it was literally a 24-hour news cycle item. It was really more a filler in between the derangement syndrome of Trump and the derangement syndrome of Elon, which, you know, having two presidents that are absolutely deranged is never a good thing.
You're exactly right, and you get a point.
But add on top all our other problems, we're screwed. So just wanted to cover base and let you guys know that if you're expecting help from FEMA the next time a storm or tornado or flooding happens in your area and causes damage so widespread and so near apocalyptic and kills, you know, 4 or 5 of your closest friends and family, you will not be calling on the federal government because they will not be coming, okay? If anything, FEMA might no longer exist by the time this happens. And considering the way the Trump admin just completely is screwing the education department, got rid of USAID, and is cutting departments left and right inside of larger agencies, well, it is a high likelihood that FEMA will be gone for the end of the year. Mother Nature truly always wins. And now Donald Trump is basically going to guarantee it. As always, of course, I just like to find random topics and inform you guys as much as I can. I appreciate you watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe because it would make me happy. And also expose me to more people who are going to call me ugly and say I just use ad hominems when I criticize their favorite guy to imagine they're sucking his dick to. I don't know.
Got him!
So here's hoping that people in Western North Carolina, in Georgia, and all these places that are affected by storms and Mother Nature at its most cruel get through and get the resources and help that they need. I am posting down below in the comment section as well as the description some links for different support organizations that could help, you know, the areas affected, including Arkansas. And I genuinely hope that Donald Trump walks back from his wish to get rid of FEMA. But at this point, they're basically just saying it. Hopes and prayers to all those affected. Okay, let's hop back on Air Force One and go golf in Florida.